I treated her like a little sister. She treated me like a threat to be eliminated. Then they offered me her job. r/pro revenge. I never thought I'd be writing one of these posts. I've lurked here for years, reading stories about workplace betrayals and satisfying karma, always thinking that could never happen to me. I was wrong. This is the story of how I spent 3 years building someone's career, only to have them destroy mine in 3 minutes. And what happened next? The Monday morning ambush. It was 9:07 a.m. on a Monday when my phone buzzed with a calendar invite. Quick sync, HR conference room B, 9:30 a.m. The invite was from HR, not from her directly. That was my first clue something was wrong. I'd been a senior developer at this company for 12 years. 12 years of late nights, successful launches, mentoring junior developers, and building systems that generated millions in revenue. I knew what a 9:30 a.m. HR meeting with no context meant. I just couldn't believe it was happening to me. When I walked into that conference room, she was already there. My former mentee. The woman I'd spent 3 years teaching everything I knew. She'd been promoted to engineering manager the previous Friday, a position I'd recommended her for. She was sitting next to the HR representative, a folder in front of her, her hands folded on the table like she was about to conduct a job interview. She didn't stand up when I entered. She didn't smile. She didn't even say good morning. "Thanks for coming in," she said, her voice flat and professional. "Please, have a seat." I sat down across from her, my stomach already sinking. The HR representative, a woman I'd known for years, who'd attended my daughter's birthday party last summer, couldn't meet my eyes. My former mentee opened the folder. I could see my employee file inside, tabs marking various sections. She'd prepared for this. She'd been manager for exactly 3 days, including the weekend. "We've been reviewing the team structure," she began, "and we're making some changes to align with our new strategic direction. Unfortunately, your position has been eliminated." I stared at her. Eliminated? "We're consolidating some roles. Your skill set no longer aligns with the direction we're taking the team. We're going in a different direction." Corporate buzzwords. Every single one of them. Words I taught her to use in executive presentations, now being weaponized against me. "You're firing me," I said. "Not a question." "We're eliminating the position," she corrected. "Your last day will be Friday. HR will walk you through the severance package and COBRA information. We ask that you return your laptop and badge before end of business today." 3 minutes. The entire conversation took 3 minutes. 3 years of mentorship. 3 minutes to end my career. The worst part? She never looked me in the eye. Not once. She stared at the folder, at the table, at the wall behind my head. Anywhere but at me. That's the part that haunts me. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew it was wrong. And she did it anyway. I taught her how to code the algorithm that got her promoted. She used that promotion to fire me. How we got here, the backstory. To understand why this betrayal cut so deep, you need to understand the 3 years that led up to that Monday morning. I joined this company as a mid-level developer 12 years ago. Worked my way up to senior, then to technical lead, then to the unofficial role of guy who fixes everything and mentors everyone. I wasn't management material. I knew that about myself. I was a builder, a teacher, a problem solver. I was happy in my lane. 3 years ago, a junior developer joined our team. Fresh out of a coding boot camp, smart but inexperienced, eager but overwhelmed. She was assigned to my project because no one else wanted to deal with training someone from scratch. I still remember her first day. She sat at her desk looking at our code base like it was written in hieroglyphics. Which, to be fair, it kind of was. 12 years of accumulated technical debt will do that. She tried to run a simple build command and crashed her entire development environment. I walked over to her desk. "First day's always rough," I said. "Let me show you a few tricks." That was how it started. A few tricks became a few hours. A few hours became staying late 3 nights a week to help her understand our architecture. I didn't have to do it. It wasn't in my job description. But I saw potential in her, and I remembered how lost I'd felt when I was starting out. Someone had helped me back then. It felt right to pay it forward. Over the next 3 years, I taught her everything I knew. And I mean everything. I taught her how to write clean, maintainable code. I taught her our company systems inside and out, the legacy stuff nobody documented, the workarounds that kept everything running, the tribal knowledge that only existed in the heads of long-timers like me. I taught her how to debug production issues at 2 a.m. without panicking. I taught her how to read a stack trace like a detective reads evidence. But it wasn't just technical skills. I taught her how to navigate office politics, how to present to executives without drowning in jargon, how to negotiate salary during performance reviews, how to position her work so leadership would notice, how to handle difficult stakeholders, how to say no professionally, how to take credit appropriately without being arrogant. I spent hundreds of hours mentoring her. Hundreds. I stayed late to help with her projects when she was drowning. I reviewed her code on weekends. I let her take the lead on presentations and gave her credit for work we did together. When she got stuck, I unstuck her. When she made mistakes, and she made plenty, I covered for her. I treated her like a little sister. She treated me like a threat to be eliminated. The student killed the teacher. The investment. Looking back, I can see how thoroughly I invested in her success. There was the time she almost crashed production during a critical product launch. She'd pushed code without proper testing, rookie mistake, and our main payment system went down for 45 minutes during peak hours. 45 minutes might not sound like much, but we processed roughly $50,000 in transactions per minute. Do the math. I was the one who found the bug. I was the one who fixed it. I was the one who wrote the incident report, and I was the one who softened the language so it didn't look like operator error. I told leadership it was a systemic gap in our deployment pipeline, rather than junior developer didn't follow basic protocols. She kept her job. She got a development plan instead of a termination warning. There was the time she presented her first major project to the executive team and completely froze. I jumped in, fed her questions, helped her recover, and afterward told the VP of engineering that she'd handled the pressure admirably. He was impressed. She got put on the high-visibility projects after that. There was the time she was passed over for a promotion and came to my desk crying. I spent 2 hours talking her through it, helping her understand what she needed to work on, building a development plan, and then advocating to leadership that she deserved a second look. 3 months later, she got that promotion. She said my skill set no longer aligns with team direction. I created her skill set. I was the direction for 3 years. The rise. Thanks to my mentorship, and yes, I'm going to take credit here, she rose fast. Junior to mid-level in 1 year. That's quick, but not unheard of for someone with talent and dedication. I wrote her performance review. I highlighted her growth areas. I advocated for the promotion. Mid-level to senior in 2 years. That's faster than normal. I helped her build a portfolio of impressive projects. I made sure she got credit for the work. I coached her on her senior developer interview. She nailed it because I'd prepped her on every single question. When the engineering manager position opened up last year, I could have applied for it myself. I had the experience. I had the tenure. I probably would have gotten it. But management wasn't my strength, and I knew it. I was a builder, not a boss. When leadership asked me who I'd recommend for the role, I said her name without hesitation. She's ready, I told them. She's grown more in 3 years than anyone I've ever mentored. She understands the technical side, she's great with people, and she has vision for where we could take this team. She's ready. I recommended her for the job. I told leadership she's ready. I didn't know I was recommending my own replacement. They promoted her over me. Not instead of me, I wasn't competing, but over me in the org chart. On Friday, she was my peer. On Monday, she was my boss. The following Monday, she fired me. Update 1. The real reason. Posted 2 weeks later. I've had some time to process what happened, and I've learned more about the circumstances of my firing. What I'm about to tell you makes the betrayal even worse. After I was let go, I grabbed lunch with a former colleague, one of the few who wasn't afraid to be seen with me. She told me what happened in the leadership meetings leading up to my termination. My former mentee had barely been in the manager role for a day before she started making the case to eliminate my position. Not lay off, eliminate. Make the role disappear entirely so I couldn't be transferred to another team. Her argument? That I was a single point of failure and a bottleneck who was holding back innovation. That the team was too dependent on my institutional knowledge. That they needed to break free from legacy thinking. Legacy thinking. I built those systems. I maintained them for 12 years. I was the reason they still worked. But here's the real reason, the one my colleague told me about in hushed tones over coffee. My former mentee saw me as a threat. I was the person who knew she wasn't as good as everyone thought. I was the person who had seen her struggle, make mistakes, need help. I had watched her crash production. I had coached her through frozen presentations. I had held her hand through every challenge. She needed to eliminate the evidence of who she used to be. As long as I was on the team, there would always be someone who remembered that she used to be the junior developer who couldn't run a build command. Someone who knew which of her ideas were actually my ideas. Someone who could contradict her carefully constructed narrative of being a self-made success. She couldn't be the brilliant, visionary leader she wanted everyone to see if the person who built her was still in the room. She couldn't look me in the eye when she did it. That's the part that haunts me. She knew exactly what she was doing. What made it worse was how she handled the aftermath. After I was gone, she told the team that I wasn't performing at the level we needed. That I had checked out over the past year. That she'd tried to work with me, but I was resistant to change. Lies. All of it. My last 3 performance reviews were exceeds expectations. I had more commits than anyone on the team. I was the one people called when something broke at 3 a.m. But I wasn't there to defend myself, and she controlled the narrative. History gets written by the people who stick around. Update 2. The aftermath. Posted 6 weeks later. The first month after being fired was brutal. I won't sugarcoat it. 12 years at a company, and they gave me the minimum severance required by law. 2 weeks. The HR rep apologized and said her hands were tied. Apparently my former mentee had specifically argued against any extended severance. Sets a bad precedent, she'd said. I spent the first week applying to jobs in a fog. I couldn't bring myself to update my LinkedIn to open to work. The shame was too fresh. I kept thinking about all the nights I'd stayed late helping her, all the credit I'd given away, all the times I could have been building my own portfolio instead of building hers. My wife was supportive, but worried. We had savings, but not unlimited savings. We had a mortgage. We had a kid starting preschool in the fall. The math wasn't great. The second week, I started getting calls. Word had gotten around that I was available, and apparently my reputation outside my company was better than I thought. 3 companies wanted to talk. 2 of them were direct competitors. By week 4, I had 3 offers. I took the one at our biggest competitor. 25% salary increase, senior staff engineer title, and a signing bonus that made up for that pathetic severance package. But here's what I want to talk about, the emotional aftermath. I'd given 3 years of my life to someone. Not to a company, to a person. I'd invested in her growth, celebrated her wins, protected her from her mistakes. I'd been genuinely proud of her success. I thought we were colleagues, maybe even friends. I thought we had mutual respect. I was a stepping stone. That's all. A useful tool that she discarded the moment she didn't need it anymore. The day I started my new job, I made a promise to myself. I would still mentor people. I wouldn't let one betrayal turn me bitter. But I would be more careful. I would protect myself. I would never again give someone all the credit for shared work. I would never again advocate for someone's promotion without considering how it might affect my own position. It's a sad lesson to learn at 37. But I learned it. Update 3. Signs of trouble. Posted 4 months later. I'm settled into my new role now. The work is challenging, the team is great, and I've already been put on a high-priority project that leadership is excited about. For the first time in months, I feel valued. But I've been hearing things about my old company. Things that don't surprise me at all. The team has lost 3 senior developers since I left. 3. In 4 months. 1 went to a startup, 1 went to Google, and 1 just quit. No plan, no next job, just couldn't take it anymore. She apparently made their lives miserable, micromanaging, taking credit, refusing to listen to technical concerns. Projects are slipping. The big product launch that was supposed to happen in Q3 has been pushed to Q4. Then Q1. Then TBD. There are bugs in production that I would have caught in code review. There are architectural decisions being made that will cause problems down the road. There are client escalations piling up. Here's the thing people don't understand about institutional knowledge. It's not just about knowing how things work. It's about knowing why things work. It's about understanding the decisions that led to the current state. It's about anticipating problems before they happen because you've seen them happen before. I had 12 years of that knowledge. She fired it in 3 minutes. A former colleague reached out to me last week. Everything's falling apart, he said. She doesn't know how to do the job. She doesn't know how to manage people. She doesn't know how to make technical decisions. And she won't admit she needs help. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. And I meant it. Not for her, but for all the good people still trapped there. She keeps saying everything's under control. Leadership is starting to ask questions. I wished him luck. What else could I do? Update 4. The phone call. Posted 6 months after being fired. This is the update I never expected to write. Last Tuesday, I got a phone call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. I get enough spam calls. But something made me pick up. This is, name redacted, CEO of my former company. I nearly dropped my phone. I'd met the CEO exactly twice in my 12 years there. Once at a company all hands, once when I was brought in to explain a critical system to the board. He'd never called me personally. "I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time," he said. "I wanted to speak with you about something important." "I'm listening." He took a breath. The kind of breath people take when they're about to admit something uncomfortable. "I've become aware of the circumstances surrounding your departure. I want to apologize for how that was handled. It wasn't right, and frankly, it wasn't good business." I didn't know what to say, so I just waited. "I'll be direct," he continued. "The engineering team is in trouble. We've lost good people. Projects are behind. Clients are unhappy. The leadership we put in place isn't working out." He didn't name her. He didn't have to. "We're making changes. And I wanted to ask, would you consider coming back? Not to your old role. We'd bring you back as Director of Engineering. You'd be overseeing the entire technical organization. Including..." He paused. "Including your former manager. I'd be her boss. The person who fired me would report to me." The cosmic irony was almost too perfect. 3 years of mentorship. 3 minutes to fire me. 6 months later, I'm being offered her job. I considered it for exactly 3 seconds. "No thank you," I said. "But I appreciate the irony." He laughed, a tired, genuine laugh. "I figured that would be your answer. But I had to ask. You're a good engineer, and I'm sorry we lost you." "Thank you," I said. "I wish you and the team the best." I meant it. Despite everything, I didn't wish failure on my old colleagues. They weren't the ones who betrayed me. Update 5. The end of her story. Posted 3 months after the phone call. She was fired last week. I found out through the grapevine, the tech industry is smaller than you'd think, and people talk. Apparently, the CEO had given her 3 months to turn things around after our phone call. She didn't. Couldn't. The problems were too deep, and she didn't have the skills or the relationships to fix them. They let her go on a Monday morning. 9:30 a.m. HR meeting. No severance beyond the minimum. The same script she'd used on me was used on her. I'm told she cried. I'm told she said she didn't understand what went wrong. I'm told she blamed everyone except herself. The team was unmotivated, the projects were understaffed, the company didn't give her the support she needed. She never blamed me. She couldn't. I wasn't there. But I was everywhere. Every system I'd built, every process I'd created, every relationship I'd maintained, my absence was felt in all of them. My old colleagues reached out to congratulate me. Some of them seemed to think I'd orchestrated her downfall, that this was some kind of revenge plot. It wasn't. I didn't do anything. I didn't badmouth her to the industry. I didn't sabotage her from afar. I just left. And without me, everything I'd been holding together fell apart. I didn't respond to those congratulatory messages. Not because I was angry, but because I'd moved on. I didn't need validation. I didn't need to gloat. I'd built a new career at a company that valued me. I had a team that respected me. I had work that challenged me. She was already a memory. Reflection, what I learned. It's been 9 months since that Monday morning HR meeting. 9 months since my world fell apart and rebuilt itself into something better. I've thought a lot about what happened. Not with anger, not anymore, but with the kind of clarity that only comes with distance. I made mistakes. I gave too much of myself without protecting my own position. I built someone else's career without documenting my own contributions. I trusted completely when I should have trusted carefully. I assumed that goodwill would be reciprocated, that mentorship would be remembered, that loyalty would be honored. Those assumptions were naive. But I don't regret making them. Because here's what I've come to understand. My generosity didn't cause my downfall. Her character did. I didn't fail by being a good mentor. She failed by being a bad person. There are people I've mentored who are now running teams, building products, and changing the industry. They remember who helped them. They pay it forward. They would never do what she did. She was the exception, not the rule. And I refused to let one exception make me cynical about human nature. I taught her everything except integrity. That's a lesson she never wanted to learn. And now she's learning that skills without character don't get you very far. Final thoughts. If you're a mentor reading this, don't stop mentoring. The world needs more people who invest in others. Just be smart about it. Document your contributions. Maintain relationships outside your immediate team. Build a reputation that doesn't depend on one company's opinion of you. If you're a mentee reading this, remember where you came from. Remember who helped you get there. When you succeed, lift others up instead of pushing them down. The ladder you climb is built by the people who came before you. Don't kick it away just because you've reached the top. And if you're someone who's been betrayed like I was, it gets better. Not because justice always prevails, it doesn't, but because you can build something new. Something better. Something that doesn't depend on people who don't deserve you. She fired me on a Monday morning. 9 months later, I'm happier than I've been in years. Sometimes the best revenge is simply thriving without them. Edit. Thank you all for the awards and comments. I've been reading every single one. To those who shared similar stories, I'm sorry you went through that. To those who are currently being mentored, be one of the good ones. And to everyone asking, no, I won't name the company. This isn't about revenge. It's about moving forward. One last thing, I heard through mutual friends that she's struggling to find a new position. Apparently, some of the senior developers she pushed out have talked. The industry knows what happened. I take no joy in that. I just hope she learns from it. But I doubt she will. Here's what I learned about mentorship. My generosity didn't cause my downfall. Her character did. I didn't fail by being a good mentor. She failed by being a bad person. I taught her how to code the algorithm that got her promoted. She used that promotion to fire me. She said my skill set no longer aligns with team direction. I created her skill set. I was the direction for 3 years. I recommended her for the job. I told leadership she's ready. I didn't know I was recommending my own replacement. She couldn't look me in the eye when she did it. That's the part that haunts me. She knew exactly what she was doing. I treated her like a little sister. She treated me like a threat to be eliminated. The student killed the teacher. 6 months later, the CEO called. The team was falling apart. Projects failing. Key people quit. He offered me her job. I'd be her boss. I considered it for exactly 3 seconds. No thank you. But I appreciate the irony. 3 months later, she was fired. Same Monday morning HR meeting. Same script she'd used on me. I taught her everything except integrity. That's a lesson she never wanted to learn. And now she's learning that skills without character don't get you very far. Sometimes the best revenge is simply thriving without them.